if they can't have children.
Oh, like somebody like me, yeah.
So
Us old people.
what are you asking?
The difference is,
Well,
I'd say, because, Abraham continued to have sex with his wife despite the fact that she thought she had to have no kids. There's a difference between choosing outright to artificially block the faculty of having children, and then, because even if you were to have sex knowing that you can't have kids, being open to the fact that it's possible, even in the most remote sense possible, there's a big disconnect.
There's something called natural family planning. Okay, the church has taught this for many, many, many years. Okay, God created women in a way where they're fertile and they're infertile. In that time, the cycle of 30 to 31 days. Okay, so you could abstain so that the unitive and the procreative aspect is never affected, right? So it keeps the dignity. Okay. But once you separate, once one of those is separated, okay, it becomes an inherently immoral act. Okay.
So you're saying that the Catholic Church has always taught that contraception is not good.
Right.
But in the issue of capital punishment, they changed. They used to say it's okay, no, it's not okay.
No, the Catholic Church is
They always said you shouldn't have capital punishment.
always.
Isn't it a difference between like what was in the canon and what was like the opinion of the Pope? Like it wasn't a.
Yeah. It was,
I was listening to some. I think they said it disagreed. Like it wasn't an official statement. It
Yeah.
was like a. Like I'm not completely sure. I just think there was like a difference.
Yeah.
That depends on whether or not it was ex cathedral.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. If it's not an issue of faith and morals, the Pope has to actually make a public statement that he's speaking from the chair of Peter, okay, on faith and morals. So Pope Francis can make, and this is the issue of infallibility, Pope Francis can make a statement that's not true, that he could get wrong, okay? As long as he's not talking about faith and morals. When he speaks on faith and morals, for 2,000 years, Christ's church has been protected from a pope making a statement that is not true.
So then why did the Catholic Church give Protestants the death penalty? Why did he kill all the Protestants? That a long, long time ago.
Well, so it's very good. No, it's very, 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 very good. So just because someone ordered the killing of another person and they were a member of the Catholic Church, it wasn't necessarily that the Catholic Church had changed its doctrine. It's just
So they didn't want them to kill them.
that's right. That's right. It's actually the Crusades are a good example. Okay, so in the Crusades, the Holy War, just war, was mentioned over here. There's 5 criteria in order for the Catholic Church to say that a war is just. Very few wars in the history of the world would be considered a just war. Okay, the Crusades, where the Church had sanctioned the protection of Christians in the Holy Land and throughout Europe because of the invading Muslim forces, okay? The Crusades went on for a long time. People in the Crusades took it upon themselves, okay, to say, well, we should kill innocent Muslims for the sake of Christ. It's completely contrary to Jesus Christ. So people in the church took it upon themselves to make those decisions. Okay, bad. Okay, but to be consistent. Okay, and we knew this was going to happen actually because Jesus himself chose an apostle who he knew was going to turn him in. Okay, so being a priest or a bishop or a lay person inside the Catholic Church doesn't keep us from doing bad things, right? But the church never officially taught this. these things. It's always taught that contraception is a moral evil. It's always taught that abortion is a moral evil, okay? Because it takes away the dignity. It always taught that the capital punishment. The only section in the catechism, if you look closely on capital punishment, was more if you could not guarantee that person could be locked up for life, okay? That person could be executed, okay? It just doesn't happen. There was never really an opportunity to put that into play. And this is more of a theological argument from several hundred years ago on this topic. In vitro fertilization, okay? Morally right or morally wrong?
Wrong.
Wrong. Why?
Separates the unitive act.
There you go. So there could be great suffering for families, for husband and wife that are infertile. Okay, that's a great suffering. But in vitro fertilization is when conception happens outside of natural means. Okay. Ends justify the means. The ends are good, right? But the means to get there are bad because it removed the unitive aspect from the procreative aspect. So combining sperm and an egg in the laboratory has taken away the unitive. It still has the procreative, but it's taken away the unitive. So it's morally wrong. Okay. These are just kind of these ideas of how do you work through this? My daughter, who's at Catholic University and she's a nursing student, she's going through her medical ethics class right now. Okay, and it's pretty fascinating what they're teaching. Is all of these decisions that nurses and doctors have to make in a Catholic setting, a Catholic hospital, and all of the different steps that you need to take in order to determine whether that would be a moral or immoral act. Okay, like someone who's at the end of their life, okay, and is on a respirator, artificial respirator, okay, and a feeding tube. Okay, so two different things. So the church teaches that that person has a dignity, right? And there's an artificial means of keeping that person alive, right? You cannot take away basic necessities, but you can take away artificial necessities. Okay, so breathing tube, for instance. Can you morally remove a breathing tube from someone at the end of their life? And the answer is yes. Okay, because again, you have to go through the hierarchy of the medical ethics. But can you remove a feeding tube?
Assuming the answer is no.
The answer is no.
It's like Terry Schiavo.
Terry Schiavo case. Okay, I still remember that verdict that came down, and literally I wept because I was trying to put myself into the shoes of the parents. Here, you guys know the case, Terry Schiavo case?
Yeah.
The mother and father, so she was married and she had a brain aneurysm. Brain aneurysm? Yeah.
I think the heart stopped, actually.
Yeah, and then she had all these medical issues, and the doctor said she was legally brain dead and all this other stuff. There was actually evidence to suggest that she wasn't. Okay, so the husband let her parents bring her home and take care of her. Okay, and she had a life insurance policy on her. Okay, and her husband, after a while, put a court challenge in. Okay, to basically say, she told me that she never wanted to be on any type of artificial respiration or feeding tubes or anything like that. Okay, there's nothing written down or anything in her will or anything. So they went through the courts, and the courts basically sided with the husband, and they removed her feeding tube, and she starved to death. Okay.
Did you have a girlfriend too on the side or something?
Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he had children.
He had children. after she had her accident, she became, medically brain dead. He had his own life, and she had an insurance policy, and he wanted to cash it in. So
Eric,
he took the.
But it was found that once it was over, the doctors did find that she was brain dead. That the parents were saying that she was responding in some way, they thought, through smiling. But it may have just been reactions, just reactions.
We are on the side of life, right? Isn't that the
But she
Catholic?
was
Yeah.
brain dead, she never would have been able to heal.
Right, but that's not, but again, that's not the question.
Breathe, she could be anything.
That's right,
Her
that's right.
soul.
There was something more to the story. We may never ever know about it. But even if she was truly brain dead, and the parents wanted to continue to care for her, by not removing the feeding tube. And that's what happened. And this is just one of many cases. You see it happens a lot in England, okay? Where children have these disorders, these diseases, and they can go to Italy to go for experimental surgeries or medications and stuff like that, and the government of England basically determines who can go and who can't go.
Alfie
Okay.
Evans.
Alfie Evans, that's right, that's right.
Oh, I know